hear the voice of a new people. The destructive ways of the past are gone. We will replace them with our vision of the future. The party will lead us to the new age. There have been those who have tried to stop the new age. They are the corrupt reminder of the past. They have tried to confuse us with the idea that the old America was a good country. We know that lie. History teaches us that lie. We are grateful to our Soviet brothers who saved the world from destruction, and we can now join them in a world of socialist brotherhood. Everyone will go to school, everyone will have a job, everyone will be equal. No one will exploit or be exploited, and all those who oppose this wonderful vision will be crushed.
Here with a very special message for my good friend Omran Daknish. That's right. Hey buddy, how are you doing? I love sending special messages like this to people all over the world, but especially to great little boys like you, Omran, all the way over in Aleppo. I'm thinking about you today and every day. You are a special little boy. And of course, I'd love to give a big shout out to your sisters Roa and Taki and your brother Abdullah. Omran, always be safe in Aleppo with your family. We love you. The whole world loves you. Yay! Omran, keep being the sweet little boy you are. You'll always be close in my heart. From your friend, Kermit the Frog. I love you, Omran.
We should never allow the government to decide what is acceptable speech and what is unacceptable speech. We should penalize behaviors, not opinions, and not speech. If you start trying to regulate speech, you start trying to regulate thoughts, start trying to regulate beliefs rather than behaviors, there's no way that you're not going to abridge the constitutional rights of millions of Americans.
Drink Coke, the road to obesity. At Coke, we say we're woke. We sell drinks that as smoke. China is our labor supplier that drives our stock price even higher. What the world knows today, obesity won't go away. To sing in perfect harmony. Just drink Coke, the road to obesity. At Coke, we say we're woke. We sell drinks that as smoke. China is our labor supplier that drives our stock price even higher. What the world knows today, obesity won't go away. Coca-Cola diabetes is here to stay. That's a real thing. What the world knows today, obesity won't go away. Diabetes is here to stay. That's a real thing.
my video the other day from the pitfalls and the mistakes of tie-dyeing. I've done a couple of new ones today, and this time I did what most people always suggest you do, which is to use sunlight, because it does actually help bleach it faster, because you got the light itself and the heat helping to dry it faster. This time I used two methods. I used first using more or less a squirt bottle. I put 40% water and mixed it with 20% bleach. And in both cases, both shirts were soaked in water before I did the bleaching. This time I used a wrought iron metal table, which has also an attachment for an umbrella. That gave it a lot more of a sturdy kind of mesh bottom, so that the water would seep through it, and then that kept the bleach from bleeding into other areas. Because the first time I ever did a shirt, I used my sink. The sink is the worst thing you can do, because when you're bleaching it, all of the bleach goes straight in down to the bottom in the sink, and then it saturates the bottom parts of your shirt, so it totally ruined it. But again, that shirt, after I bleached it, I put it out on a bush outside and just spread it totally out, and then over time the air dried it out and some of it still survived. The shirts that I did today are using the 40% water, 20% bleach mixture in a squirt bottle, and then I left it in the sunlight for about 4 hours, and it bleached most of it. But again, it doesn't do all of the bottom of your shirt. There are little dark spots here and there where it doesn't actually bleach at all, even though it's flat out directly in sunlight. Then I went back and found that the bleach didn't totally go through to the other side, even without a cardboard divider. So I had to go and flip it over, and then I re-bleached it again. And I find that if you spray peroxide on it within maybe half an hour to an hour after it starts bleaching in the sun, that does help to control how much bleeding happens of the bleach outside the lines where you actually applied it. So key point is always soak your shirts in water before you try to use a mixture of bleach and water together. That slows down the bleaching too. Plus, it helps the material survive the direct saturation of that bleach. Even with water mixed in with it, it still deteriorates the material. That's what I found to be true. The second method I used was to put the same mixture of 30% water, 30% bleach in a cup, and then I dipped it with an actual paintbrush. And the paintbrush method did more to keep it specifically isolated to areas where you stroked it with the brush than squeezing a bottle on it. But the method of using that mixture helped to keep the amount of saturation of bleach down. Plus the shirt being soaked in water before you start helps it as well to cut down on the amount of the bleach saturation. So if you got more water mixed with bleach, it's going to make the strength of the bleach a lot less, so the material won't deteriorate. Here's what I did not say in my last video. These shirts I've been testing with are 100% cotton. I cannot control what materials that they print these shirts on. These are people that print the shirt of the graphic I had commissioned by this guy, and he sells it through TeePublic. But the manufacturer of the shirts, and this is TeePublic that prints them, they do not give you the choice of what percentage of polyester or cotton mixed together with other materials. So in this case it was 100% cotton. So that hurts the effectiveness of you being able to bleach the shirt with any success that it's going to do what you want, and then the material would still survive unless you use more water than bleach. That's one thing I didn't say in my video before. I did not know the percentage of what the material was made up of, whether it would be half cotton, half polyester, more of one material or the other. It was 100% cotton. But what I tell you, if anybody's going to tie-dye a shirt, once you've done all these processes, do not wash it in your wash machine. My washing machine, I think, resulted in it tearing the back of the shirt. I figured I can wash it in a rinse cycle on a low setting of water level, and then it would help wash the peroxide out and the bleach, and the material would still be intact. Well, I think what happened was, when I washed it, the agitator was scrubbing it so much that it tore the back of the shirt. That's why it didn't come out. So I say, don't use a wash machine when you finally do that final process of washing the shirt out of the peroxide. Wash it in the sink, squeeze it out, put it in the sun again, and let the sun naturally dry the shirt out. That protects the material and the fabric from becoming weak when you wash it. And if a machine is doing the scrubbing, the agitator is going to tear it apart again, even if the material is still in good shape. That's my own experience of what I've just done with 2 other shirts that I had. And my shirt that I've shown you guys before, that was the very first one I tried. That's how I did my shirt. I washed it and did all the processes myself. I washed it first. When the peroxide was washed out with the bleach that I applied, I squeezed it out in the sink and I let it naturally dry in the air. I did not wash it in the wash machine, and I did not dry it in the dryer. That's what I'm going to do with these other shirts. I'm not going to use the machine for any of it. I'm going to let the natural light of the sun and the heat from the sun wash it, dry it out, and I think that'll strengthen the fabric so that when I do wash it in the future, the machine shouldn't tear it up, because you've let it naturally dry on its own without depending on your dryer to dry it or your washing machine to wash the peroxide out. So with those facts in mind, I just felt like I should share these things. So if you're thinking of tie-dyeing a shirt with bleach, always use more water than bleach, and always make sure the material is soaked in water before you start to apply the bleach. That water helping saturate the material helps to protect it from whatever amount of bleach you're using, and then the sleeves won't deteriorate, the material won't deteriorate. I can't guarantee about the bleeding process, because I very specifically stroked just a little bleach around my collar to make it look like Omron's shirt, and it still bled outside the lines of the collar. And I sprayed it with peroxide too to kind of stop the bleaching process. One of the things you do when you're spraying peroxide, if you spray too much and it hasn't dried out, it does stop bleaching. So you'll end up having to go back, wash it again, and then reapply the bleach to areas where the sun didn't totally bleach it out. You have little spots where you'll have to go back and you'll have to either squirt more bleach and water and hope the sun will bleach that area out, because that's what happens. The peroxide stops the process of bleaching. So then when you're finished squirting it or spraying it or whatever, you're going to still have dark spots, because you think the sunlight is going to bleach it out. But if you don't put enough bleach in certain parts, then when it dries, it's not going to totally take the color out of your shirt. All my shirts are dark forest green, because that's the same color as what Omron's shirt was. The chest was white, it was green, and then it split right here down to white. Had a white collar, and then the bottom part of the shirt was totally white. And that's what I was trying to do, is simulate what his shirt looked like using bleach to whiten those areas on the shirt. The sleeves, the collar, and the bottom. And I say the bleach by far is the best option. There was one other shirt that I had bought from the same guy. They used a different type of material for this lime green shirt. It was a much brighter colored green. I tell you something, I went out there and I bleached it with the same process, with water and bleach. And the material must have been non-bleach proof, because I tell you, no matter what I did, however much bleach I put on the material, it didn't bleach it out. Even in direct sunlight for 5 hours, it didn't do anything to it. So that's the kind of material where nothing you do to it will harm the material. And today I decided, well, let's just see whether or not it might look half decent if I used fabric paint. So I sprayed the collar, I sprayed the columns of the arm cuffs, and I laugh because when I was doing it, I had it inside out. So I'm spraying the inside of the shirt instead of the outside. So anyway, I flipped it and put it right side out, but then I had used so much of the fabric paint that it didn't really do much. But as the experience has shown me, even fabric paint will not darken it enough to make it look authentic. So here's a tip: if you get a type of fabric that is non-bleached, or you can't bleach it, it's bleach proof, don't use anything on it, because it's not going to make any difference. It's still going to keep that same color. It might make it slightly darker in places where you put more bleach, but it will not take out the color of the fabric. It kept the fabric in place. So nothing I did to it made any difference. So again, I've wasted 3 shirts. The first 2, one towards in the back, the other one totally disintegrated my collar, my arm sleeves. The third shirt was this lime green, non-bleachable fabric, and it was a total loss because you couldn't do anything to it. You couldn't bleach it, couldn't spray paint it with fabric paint or anything. So the experience I've had is the last 2 are somewhat successful. The first one I did, which I've shown you guys in my other video, that's really the only one I've been able to wear, because halfway it looks kind of presentable. But if you want something that looks identical to Omron's shirt, forget it. You're never going to get it exactly the way his shirt looked. But I'm an adult. I'm not a child like Omron. It doesn't have to look exactly like his. What you want is a simulation. You want something that's similar to what he was wearing, but put a flair to it like an adult. Put little splotches like tie-dye looks. It makes it look unique, looks different. It's got little splotches of white here and there. It kind of resembles the idea you took a paintbrush and slapped green paint on it, and it's got little parts of white here and there and the green, and it kind of simulates the fact that it's similar to Omron's shirt because it's still got the cat dog shot on the graphic. But then the rest of it's more or less kind of like saying, this is my own interpretation of what I think of his shirt, but as an adult, this is how I created it, because now I've given it a uniqueness to it. It doesn't have to look exactly like his. That's what I was intending, though. I started it to be a shirt that would look exactly like Omron's in every aspect. What I ended up getting was something similar, but not at all the same because of the bleeding of the bleach. And yeah, it's not exactly what I wanted, but still, again, it is a unique pattern. It's a unique style of shirt because you're trying to simulate something, but not at the same time, you're not going to have it exactly like his. You don't want it to look exactly like his. You want it to be unique for something you made. That's why people tie-dye in the first place. They want something that looks really different than a normal average shirt, which has nothing. And then with the different ways you can bleach, it'll create patterns on the shirt that'll make it look even more interesting to a person who views it. I pointed out in my last video, of all things to show up in this shirt, there was a little heart on this side of the shirt. And you know what's sad? I can't wear it because of that tear in the material. But there was a little dart, a little heart that formed in the bleach on the shirt, and it appeared right there on that shirt. I'm not going to get rid of that shirt now that I saw that heart. But that's the kind of things you always wish you could get. When you're doing it, it's going to come out beautiful, artistic, it's going to be unique. And in this case, that shirt sadly came out torn because I made the mistake of using the washing machine to wash it. Wanted it to get all the bleach out, all of the peroxide, and it did too much agitation and tore it. So that's why it ended up happening. But I hope these little steps that I've shared on the video today inspire you to want to do your own type of shirts. It doesn't have to be for Cat Dog. I did it because I love Omron Dacniche and I wanted to get a shirt like his. I wanted to make a shirt similar to his. This shirt I'm wearing, I had one of these sublimator companies who will print a shirt that is identical to whatever design you want it to be. I had it with Cat Dog. A dog is on the front of the shirt like this. The back of the shirt has cat. And you can see that. So that's why I did it like this. I wanted to show people, there are shirts out there where they show dog on the front, but he's going straight across instead of down. And then on the back of the shirt they had cat going across again from the middle part of your shirt. This one goes up, the back goes down, and of course it says Nickelodeon. I wanted to give them credit for it because they own Cat Dog. And that was another headache. To make the shirt, I could not superimpose any other kind of logo with it. Like I couldn't put Nickelodeon's, splash mark on here because the sublimator people can only use one image. I could have superimposed the Nickelodeon image on the same image too, but I didn't do that. But self-expression is the only other way you can share how you feel now. Because on social platforms, on the internet period, you can't say anything you want to anymore. That's called suppression of your freedom of speech. That's what the communists are doing to us as a nation. It can be changed if all of America itself stands up for its rights and says, this malarkey will not continue and we're not going to let it, because as Americans, we are supposed to be who the government functions for. We're supposed to be the ones they serve. We do not serve the government because it says we the people. It doesn't say we the government. See, the government is being used by not only corporate America, but all these fanatical, radical, fascist type groups, the LGBT, the liberals, the progressives. All of these people are being used. They're using the government to suppress everybody else's rights. And they say we're right and our philosophies are right and anybody else's are total hogwash, totally unimportant, and therefore they suppress everybody else who says something. That's why the algorithms attack not only my channel and my opinions, but it attacks everybody else who says something to the contrary of what the liberals and what the communists, socialists, Democrats are saying to everybody. And that's wrong. That should be suppressed in itself. They should be held accountable as traitors. They should be exiled like they did during the 40s when they found these mob bosses who were doing this organized crime across the United States. They took those people and they exiled them to other countries like Cuba. They exiled them to Russia. They told them, you want to be that way, live that way, go to a country where they already live that way. So they shipped their butts out of this country and they sent them there. That's what they ought to do to Pelosi, Schumer, Schiff, Nader, all the other communists. Send them to a country like Venezuela and let them live in that philosophy that they're pushing on our country. Let them live in that scenario and see how much they like it when they know they can't live the way that they've always.
From Amram and Carey Films comes this true and tragic story of a small 3.5-year-old boy who lived in Aleppo, Syria. His name is Amram Daknish. He was seen one night in an ambulance with blood on his head. His family survived the worst night of their lives when Russian airstrikes destroyed his neighborhood. The world saw him, cried for him, remembers him today. The famous director George Lucas brings this story to life in a way you will never forget because it really happened. Rated PG-13. Rated PG-13.
Hi, I'm George Lucas. In my past 40 years of motion picture making, no subject has so inspired me as this story that happened in August 2016. The world saw a 3-year-old boy on global networks, and it really touched my heart. So much so that I had to tell his story. His name is Amram Daknish. His story is real. It happened. I'm telling this story because millions of other children just like Amram are still being hurt in war-torn countries resulting from neglect, illness, and uncaring masses. We must remember them all. You won't be leaving the movie theater without a tear in your eyes. I hope you'll come.
I think I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands,
one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. America. 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 America.